Marriage isn't just about love. It's about fighting over who breathed too loud during a movie. We collected 69 of the most petty, ridiculous, and absolutely hilarious complaints husbands and wives have ever filed against each other. From the French fry tax to anger over dream cheating, you're about to feel a lot better about your own relationship. Let's start. 1. One husband decided to file a mental complaint because his wife was legitimately furious at him for something he did in her dream. She woke up, glared at him across the pillow, and proceeded to give him the cold shoulder for 6 straight hours because Dream Him had the audacity to buy the wrong kind of milk. The poor guy had to apologize for a crime committed by his subconscious avatar while he was actually fast asleep and probably drooling on his own pillow. 2. A wife called into a radio show to complain that her husband treats the dishwasher like a high-stakes game of Tetris that only he knows the rules to. Apparently, if she places a bowl at a slightly wrong angle, he sighs deeply, unloads the entire rack, and reloads it to maximize water flow efficiency. He acts like she is personally insulting the laws of hydraulic engineering by putting a spoon in the fork basket, and honestly, she is ready to switch to paper plates just to save the marriage. 3. There is a man out there who genuinely complained to his friends that his wife breathes too loudly while they are trying to watch movies. He claimed that her intake of oxygen was ruining the immersive experience of his action films. When asked if she was snoring or wheezing, he said no, she was just existing at a decibel level he found inconvenient. I am not sure how he expects her to survive the 2-hour runtime without inhaling, but apparently, her biological need for air is a major plot hole in his evening. 4. You know the decorative pillow argument? Well, one husband took it to the next level by calculating the square footage of the bed that was actually usable versus the area covered by floral shams. He complained that by the time he excavates his side of the mattress every night, he is too exhausted to actually sleep. He calls it the Great Pillow Wall of China, and his wife's only response was to buy 3 more tiny circular cushions just to test his blood pressure limits. 5. A woman was absolutely devastated and lodged a complaint against her husband because he hesitated for 3 seconds when she asked the classic trap question, "Would you still love me if I was a worm?" He made the fatal mistake of trying to apply logic to the situation, asking how they would communicate or if he would also be a worm. That was the wrong answer. She wanted blind, invertebrate loyalty immediately, and now he is in the doghouse for not being romantically attracted to a garden pest. 6. Picture this scenario. A woman is literally in the hospital, actively in labor, pushing a human being into the world. Her husband, sitting in the recliner next to her, had the nerve to complain that the hospital chair was hurting his back and that he was really tired from the drive over. The nurses had to physically restrain the wife from throwing a heart monitor at him. Imagine witnessing the miracle of life and thinking, "Man, my lumbar support is really lacking right now." 7. One husband has declared a cold war on his wife because she refuses to close the shower curtain all the way after she gets out. He claims it creates a visual disruption in the bathroom that ruins his entire morning routine. It is not about mold or water damage. It is purely about the symmetry of the plastic folds. He actually keeps a tape measure in the vanity drawer just to prove that she is leaving a 2-inch gap of chaos in his otherwise orderly life. 8. A wife got mad at her husband not because he forgot their anniversary, but because he bought her the specific gift she asked for, instead of surprising her with something she didn't know she wanted. He followed her list to the letter, thinking he was nailing it, only to be told that he lacks imagination and spontaneity. He is now convinced that he needs a degree in telepathy just to survive the next holiday season without accidentally offending her with compliance. 9. We have to talk about the thermostat wars at home, but the real crime is the window. One husband complained his wife will crank the heat like they're thawing a woolly mammoth, then casually open a window because she wants fresh air. So now he's paying the utility company to warm the entire neighborhood while she sits there in a sweater, judging him for making it stuffy. 10. A husband was genuinely annoyed that his wife refused to help him look for his keys, which were in his hand the entire time. He spent 20 minutes tearing the living room apart, looking under sofa cushions and blaming her for moving his stuff. When she finally pointed out that he was clutching the key fob like a stress ball, instead of apologizing, he complained that she should have noticed it sooner and saved him the cardio. Logic has clearly left the building. 11. The French fry tax is a very real economic crisis occurring in vehicles across America. You ask if she is hungry, she says no, and then proceeds to confiscate 40% of your lunch the second the bag opens. One guy actually bought a decoy medium fry just to distract his wife, but she got offended because she thought he was implying she eats too much. Now he has to guard his nuggets like a prison warden just to get a full meal. 12. According to one man, the laundry hamper is apparently an optional suggestion, not a target. His wife filed a complaint that his dirty socks form a perfect crop circle around the basket, but never actually land inside it. He calls it horseshoe rules. If it touches the plastic rim, it counts. She calls it grounds for murder. He genuinely believes that the floor is just a pre-sorting staging area. 13. You already know where this is going. The passenger seat brake pedal. One husband claims his wife gasps so loudly at red lights that he thinks they are about to die, when in reality, he is stopping with 50 yards to spare. She grabs the "Oh Jesus" handle like they are re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. He is one dramatic inhale away from buying her a blindfold for their next road trip, just to lower his blood pressure. 14. A woman is walking around with a full-blown sinus infection, cooking dinner and folding clothes, while her husband gets the sniffles and acts like he is writing his last will and testament on a napkin. She complained that he treats a common cold like a Victorian-era terminal diagnosis, moaning from the couch and demanding soup delivery. If this sounds familiar, congratulations, you have survived the man flu. 15. Trash Jenga. That is the only way to describe what one wife does to the garbage can. Instead of taking the bag out, she carefully balances an empty pizza box, a milk jug, and 3 apple cores on top of the pile in a defiance of physics. Her husband opened the cabinet and was immediately buried in an avalanche of week-old refuse. He claims it is a safety hazard. She claims it is structural art. 16. Physics does not apply to a wife getting ready. One man spent an entire hour sitting in the car with the engine running because she said she would be ready in 5 minutes. In her time zone, 5 minutes includes a shower, hair drying, and deciding between 2 identical shades of beige lipstick. He has started telling her dinner reservations are 30 minutes earlier than they actually are, just to ensure they arrive before dessert is served. 17. Refrigerator. Blindness is a medical mystery that only affects husbands. He stands in front of the open fridge, letting all the cold air out, shouting that there is no ketchup. His wife walks over, reaches directly past his shoulder, and grabs the bottle that was sitting at eye level. He swears it materialized out of thin air just to make him look stupid. To him, condiments are invisible until a woman points at them. 18. 30 seconds into an action movie, the interrogation begins. One husband complained that he can't watch a simple explosion without his wife demanding a full dossier on the villain. Who is that? Why is he mad? Is he the guy from the other thing? He just wants to see a car chase, but he is forced to provide a live DVD commentary track. He is considering making PowerPoint presentations before movie night just to answer her questions in advance. 19. It is not a bathroom sink anymore. It is a chemistry lab explosion. One man claims he has to perform yoga moves just to reach the faucet because the counter is covered in serums, lotions, hairsprays, and 37 bobby pins. He has lost all territory. He tried to move one single bottle of toner to brush his teeth and was immediately reprimanded for disrupting her system. He is now living on a 2-inch square of porcelain real estate. 20. Relocating the mess is not the same thing as cleaning it, but don't tell that to this husband. His wife complained that his idea of tidying up is just moving a pile of junk from the kitchen table to the bedroom chair. He genuinely believes that if the clutter is in a different zip code, the house is cleaner. It is a logic loop she cannot break, and the pile is currently migrating to the guest room. 21. He wants the AC blasting like an Arctic wind. She wants the seat warmer set to lava. Driving together is a climate crisis. One husband complained that his wife tries to turn the car into a tropical sauna while he is sweating through his shirt. They are simultaneously shivering and overheating in a confined space. He says a 20-minute commute with her feels like experiencing all 4 seasons of weather at once. 22. I don't care, you pick. The 5 most dangerous words in a marriage. A man listed Italian, Mexican, sushi, and burgers, and his wife vetoed every single one despite claiming she wasn't picky. He eventually drove to a parking lot and refused to move the car until she put a destination into the GPS. It was a standoff that lasted longer than the actual dinner. 23. He is not a partner anymore. He is a human tripod. One husband feels like an unpaid intern because his wife makes him take 50 photos of her in the exact same pose until she likes one. He complained that his food was getting cold while he tried to find the golden hour lighting. When he finally took a candid shot, she got mad because her good side wasn't facing the camera. 24. One husband is convinced that his wife practices some form of nocturnal martial arts known as the sheet roll. They go to sleep with 50-50 coverage, but by 3 a.m., she has performed a tactical alligator death roll, cocooning herself in every layer of fabric available. He wakes up shivering, clinging to a single corner of the fitted sheet like a castaway on a raft, while she is sleeping soundly in a warm, down-filled burrito. He tried to pull it back once, and she growled in her sleep like a hibernating bear defending its cave. 25. Let's discuss the psychological warfare of assembling IKEA furniture. A wife filed a formal complaint that her husband refuses to look at the instructions because he believes his intuition is superior to Swedish engineering. He spent 4 hours building a dresser backwards, and when she pointed out the leftover screws, he claimed they were spares provided by the factory. The dresser now leans to the left, and every time she opens a drawer, the whole unit groans, but he refuses to admit that he should have just looked at the pictures on page 1. 26. The long goodbye is a source of serious marital friction. A husband complained that when his wife says, "We should get going," it actually signals the start of a 45-minute farewell tour. He stands by the door, jingling his keys and sweating in his coat, while she launches into a brand new, deep, philosophical conversation with the host in the foyer. If you have ever stood in a hallway smiling painfully while your partner discusses a recipe for 20 minutes after saying goodbye, you know exactly why this man is losing his mind. 27. A man complained that living with his wife is like living with a shedding golden retriever. He finds her long hair in places that defy the laws of physics, woven into his socks, wrapped around the remote control, and somehow, inexplicably, inside his sealed lunch container. He pulled a 3-foot strand out of the shower drain that looked like a creature from a horror movie, and when he showed her, she just shrugged and said, "It happens." He is pretty sure he swallows at least a pound of hair annually just by breathing in his own home. 28. I'm fine. 2 words that strike fear into the heart of any husband. One man complained that his wife uses "I'm fine" as a trap to test his ability to read micro-expressions and decode silence. He asked her what was wrong, she said, "Nothing," and then proceeded to load the dishwasher with the aggression of a heavy metal drummer. He knows he is in trouble, she knows he is in trouble, but he has to guess the specific crime he committed before he can even attempt to apologize for it. 29. The package ninja is a real phenomenon. A husband noticed that new clothes were appearing in the closet, but he never saw a delivery truck. It turns out his wife tracks the UPS driver on her phone, sprints to the porch, and kicks the boxes under the bed before he gets home from work. When he finally found the stash of cardboard, she looked him dead in the eye and said, "I've had this for years, you just haven't noticed." He knows the return policy has expired, and frankly, he is too impressed by her stealth to be mad. 30. A husband is baffled by his wife's need to sleep in a climate paradox. She insists on having the ceiling fan on the highest setting because she needs the noise and the air circulation. But then she complains that she is freezing and buries herself under 3 heavy quilts. He is lying there in a wind tunnel trying to understand the thermodynamics of freezing yourself on purpose just to warm up again. He suggested a white noise machine, but she looked at him like he had suggested sleeping on a bed of nails. 31. We need to talk about the human GPS. A wife complained that her husband trusts the navigation app more than he trusts her local knowledge, even though she has lived in the town for 30 years. He will blindly follow a robot voice into a traffic jam because Waze said it was faster, while she sits in the passenger seat silently stewing because she knew the back road was wide open. When they finally arrive 20 minutes late, the silence in the car is louder than the radio ever could be. 32. One man complained that his wife's definition of a quick trip to the store is a blatant lie. She told him she just needed to grab milk, so he decided to wait in the car. Big mistake. 45 minutes later, she emerged with 6 bags, a new floor lamp, and a rotisserie chicken, but no milk. He was listening to an entire podcast episode in the parking lot while she was apparently remodeling their home and planning the weekly menu in aisle 4. Every husband knows that engine idling time is just wasted life. 33. Pre-cleaning for the cleaner is a concept that breaks the male brain. A husband complained that his wife forces the entire family to scrub the house from top to bottom the night before the cleaning service arrives. She says she doesn't want the cleaner to judge them for being messy. He argues that they are paying someone good money specifically to deal with the mess, but he still finds himself vacuuming the rug at 10 p.m., so the person they hired to vacuum doesn't think they are slobs. 34. A wife lodged a complaint that her husband uses the bathroom as a fortress of solitude. He goes in for a shower and disappears into a time vortex for 40 minutes. She assumes he is scrubbing, but in reality, he is sitting on the edge of the tub scrolling through sports scores and enjoying the fact that no one is asking him to open a jar. She actually knocked on the door once just to check for a pulse because the water wasn't even running yet. 35. The public kick is a communication method that needs to be addressed. A husband complained that he can't tell a joke at a dinner party without fearing for his shins. He starts telling a funny story about their vacation, thinks he is killing it, and then, wham! A sharp kick under the table signals that he has crossed a line he didn't even know existed. He has to seamlessly transition from laughing to silence while trying not to limp. It is a violent form of editing that happens in real time. 36. Deciding on a movie on Netflix has become longer than the movie itself. A man complained that he and his wife spend an hour watching trailers, reading descriptions, and debating genres. By the time they finally agree on a film, the food is cold, and she falls asleep 5 minutes into the opening credits. He is left watching a romantic comedy alone in the dark, wondering why they didn't just rewatch The Office for the 1000th time like he suggested in the first place. 37. A wife filed a very passionate complaint regarding her husband's open door policy in the kitchen. Apparently, the man is allergic to closing cabinet doors. He will go in to make a simple turkey sandwich and leave the kitchen looking like a scene from a poltergeist haunting, with every single cupboard gaping wide open. She walks in 5 minutes later and smacks her head on the corner of a door he opened in 1999. He claims he leaves them open for efficiency in case he needs to go back in, but she is convinced he is just trying to give her a concussion. 38. The decorative towel is a trap that ensnares thousands of husbands every year. One man complained that he got yelled at for drying his hands on a towel hanging in the bathroom. He didn't realize that those specific towels were strictly for looking at, not for touching water. He said it is entrapment to put a drying device next to a sink and then criminalize its use. His wife told him those are guest towels for a hypothetical visit from the Queen of England, and he is now forced to wipe his hands on his jeans like a heathen. 39. We have to talk about the water cup invasion. A husband complained that his wife leaves half-finished glasses of water on every flat surface in the house like she is preparing for the aliens from the movie signs. There is 1 on the nightstand, 2 on the dresser, 1 in the bathroom, and 3 on the coffee table. He feels like he is living in a hydration experiment gone wrong. When he tries to consolidate them or dump them out, she stops him because that one is the fresh one, even though it has been sitting there collecting dust for 3 days. 40. A man lodged a complaint that his wife's closet is a black hole where logic goes to die. She stands in front of a wardrobe bursting with enough fabric to clothe a small village and genuinely declares, "I have nothing to wear." When he helpfully points out a dress with the price tag still on it, she looks at him with pity and explains that the dress is for a specific vibe that doesn't match the current humidity or her emotional state. He has learned that offering fashion advice is like trying to defuse a bomb with a hammer. It only makes the explosion bigger. 41. The parking spot. Circle of death is a real phenomenon. A wife complained that her husband refuses to ask for directions or admit defeat in a parking lot. He will circle the lot for 20 minutes, looking for a prime spot near the entrance to save 30 seconds of walking. She pointed out 5 perfectly good empty spaces 3 rows back, but he ignored them because he viewed taking a distant spot as a personal failure. They spent more time stalking a leaving shopper for their spot than they actually spent inside the grocery store. 42. A husband is convinced that his wife is stealing his hoodies and running an illicit black market trade out of her side of the closet. He buys a comfortable, oversized sweatshirt, wears it once, and then it vanishes. 2 weeks later, he sees her wearing it. When he claims it is his, she argues that it is ours, which eventually translates to hers. He is currently cold in his own home because his entire winter wardrobe has been annexed by a woman who claims she hates his fashion sense but wears all his clothes. If this sounds familiar, say goodbye to your favorite fleece right now. 43. Let's discuss the Tupperware Tetris situation. A man complained that his wife saves leftovers that are scientifically insignificant. She will take a massive plastic container to store 3 individual noodles or a single bite of mashed potatoes. He opens the fridge looking for a meal and finds a wall of containers that are 98% air and 2% old food. He asked her why she saved a literal teaspoon of peas, and she said she didn't want to be wasteful. He is now eating a casserole made entirely of spite and micro leftovers. 44. A wife complained that her husband's definition of watching the kids is vastly different from hers. She leaves him alone with the toddlers for an hour, and when she returns, the house looks like a bomb went off, the kids are eating chocolate for lunch, and he is playing video games while chaos reigns around him. He claims that as long as everyone is alive and no bones are broken, he did a great job. She calls it negligence. He calls it free-range parenting. She is now afraid to go to the grocery store for fear of coming home to a Lord of the Flies scenario. 45. One husband is ready to testify in court that his wife waits until the most inconvenient moment possible to start a serious conversation. He complained that she is silent all evening, but the literal second, he turns on the garbage disposal or a blender, she starts telling him an intricate story about her day. He can't hear a word, so he just nods and smiles, only to find out later that he agreed to host her parents for a week. He is convinced she times her monologues to the decibel level of kitchen appliances just to trap him. 46. The bedtime routine gap is causing serious friction. A husband complained that he can brush his teeth and be in bed in 4 minutes flat. Meanwhile, his wife embarks on a 12-step skincare ritual that involves serums, toners, creams, and some sort of jade roller exorcism. He is lying in the dark, drifting off to sleep, when she finally comes to bed smelling like a chemistry set and turns on a reading light that rivals the brightness of a police interrogation lamp. He just wants to sleep. She wants to be preserved like a pharaoh. 47. A man complained that his wife uses landmarks for directions that haven't existed for a decade. She refuses to use street names or distances. Instead, she tells him to turn left where the old Blockbuster used to be, or go past the house with the ugly fence. He is driving around looking for a ghost of a pizza place from 2008, while she gets frustrated that he doesn't know the local history of retail closures. He told her that the big tree that looks sad is not a valid GPS coordinate, and that led to a silent car ride home. 48. One wife is absolutely furious about her husband's man-cold volume settings. She complained that when she sneezes, it is a quiet, polite event. When he sneezes, it is a sonic boom that rattles the windows and scares the cat 3 rooms away. He follows it up with a groan of agony as if his soul has left his body. She tried to tell him he doesn't need to scream to expel air, but he claims it is involuntary. She is currently researching noise-canceling headphones just to survive allergy season without a heart attack. 49. The phone charger. War is a conflict with no end in sight. A husband complained that his wife is a charger thief of the highest order. She loses hers constantly and then borrows his from the nightstand, never to return it. He wakes up with 4% battery and a red zone of panic because his cable has migrated to her car or her purse. He actually started labeling his cords with electrical tape, but she just peels it off and claims possession. He is thinking about installing a vending machine for charging cables in the living room just to break even. 50. Playing gas tank chicken is a sport that threatens marriages daily. A wife complained that her husband treats the empty light on the dashboard as a challenge rather than a warning. He will drive 30 miles past zero just to get to his favorite gas station to save 3 cents a gallon, claiming he knows the car's true limits. Meanwhile, she is in the passenger seat having a full-blown panic attack, mentally calculating how far she will have to walk in her heels when the engine inevitably dies. He calls it efficiency. She calls it unnecessary psychological torture. 51. The snooze button war is a conflict that happens before the sun even comes up. One husband lodged a formal grievance because his wife sets 8 different alarms starting at 5:30 a.m., spaced 5 minutes apart. The kicker? She doesn't wake up for a single one of them. He is wide awake, staring at the ceiling with rage after the first beep, while she sleeps peacefully through a symphony of noise that sounds like a nuclear meltdown warning. By the time she actually gets up at 7 OI, he has lived through 90 minutes of interrupted hell and is ready for a nap. 52. You would think breaking down a cardboard box requires a PhD in engineering based on this next complaint. A wife is furious that her husband refuses to flatten recycling boxes. He simply throws a whole 3-dimensional Amazon shipping crate into the bin, filling the entire container with a single item full of air. When she confronted him, he argued that the garbage truck crushes it anyway, so he is just outsourcing the labor. She is out there jumping on the recycling bin like a trampoline just to make room for a milk jug, while he watches from the window with zero remorse. 53. Vacation packing is where logic goes to die. A husband complained that for a 2-day weekend trip, his wife packed enough luggage to emigrate to a new country. She brought 4 pairs of shoes, a parka for a beach trip, just in case it gets weird, and an evening gown for a dive bar dinner. He packed a toothbrush and 1 pair of jeans. He complained that he spent more time playing Tetris trying to fit her bags into the trunk than they actually spent relaxing on the vacation. If you have ever carried a 50-pound suitcase filled with options you never wore, you are part of the problem. 54. We need to address the passenger seat DJ. A wife complained that her husband has the attention span of a goldfish when it comes to music. He connects his phone to the car Bluetooth and changes the song every 45 seconds, usually right before the chorus hits. She's trying to belt out her favorite ballad, and suddenly he skips to a podcast about cryptocurrency or heavy metal. He claims he is curating the vibe, but she claims he is ruining the road trip. He has been banned from the Accord until further notice. 55. One man is convinced his wife is secretly training to be a homicide detective based on her ability to spot a tone. He complained that he can say the dishwasher is full in a completely neutral, factual voice, and she will decode it as a personal attack on her work ethic and a criticism of her mother. He spends 20 minutes explaining that he literally just meant the machine had dishes in it, while she dissects the frequency and pitch of his voice to find the hidden insult. He is now afraid to make any statement of fact without a lawyer present. 56. The battle over name brand versus generic is tearing households apart. A husband complained that his wife acts like he's trying to poison the family if he buys the store brand cereal. He swapped the bags secretly, putting the cheap toasted oats into the expensive box, and she ate them for a week without noticing. When he finally revealed his brilliant deception to prove a point about marketing, she didn't laugh. Instead, she got mad at him for tricking her taste buds and violating her trust. He won the battle but definitely lost the war. 57. A wife is absolutely fed up with her husband's grocery store amnesia. She sends him to the store with a very specific list, written in clear English, and he still calls her 5 times from the aisles. What kind of onions? Do we need the big sour cream or the medium one? Where are the tacos? She complained that she virtually shops the entire trip over the phone, while he wanders around aimlessly. The last time he went alone, he came back with 0 dinner ingredients, but a bulk pack of AA batteries and a frozen pizza. She says it's weaponized incompetence. He says the store layout is confusing. 58. Let's talk about the TV volume superstition. A man complained that his wife is a volume anarchist. She sets the TV volume to numbers like 13, 17, or 21. He physically cannot focus on the movie because the odd number is burning a hole in his brain. He has to wait until she leaves the room to bump it up to a nice round 20 or 25. He tried to explain that even numbers provide better sound quality, which is a total lie, just to get her to stop leaving it on prime numbers. She does it now just to watch him twitch. 59. The echo chamber effect is a real grievance. A wife complained that when she tells a funny joke at a dinner party, nobody hears it. Her husband then immediately repeats the exact same joke, just louder and with more confidence, and the whole table erupts in laughter. He takes the credit, accepts the high fives, and acts like he is a comedy genius while she sits there stewing in stolen valor. When she points it out later, he claims he refined the delivery, which is husband code for "I stole your material and I have no regrets." 60. A husband lodged a complaint about his wife's hypothetical scenario traps. She wakes him up at 2:30 a.m. to ask, "If we were in a zombie apocalypse and I got bit, would you shoot me?" If he says yes too quickly, he is heartless. If he hesitates, he is weak and will get them both killed. There is no right answer. He is just trying to get 8 hours of sleep before work. And now he is defending his imaginary survival strategy against a woman who is mad at him for a choice he hasn't even made yet. 61. The unfinished hobby. Graveyard is taking over the garage. A wife complained that her husband gets obsessed with a new hobby every 6 months, buys all the premium gear, and then abandons it immediately. They have a brewing kit for beer he never made, a kayak that has never seen water, and a set of whittling knives still in the packaging. He just announced he wants to get into beekeeping, and she is currently looking up zoning laws just to have a legal reason to tell him no before he buys 1,000 bees. 62. I'll be ready in a minute is a lie, but I'm almost home is a felony. A wife complained that her husband texts, "I'm 5 minutes away," when he hasn't even left the office yet. She times dinner perfectly, puts the hot food on the table, and then watches it turn into a cold, congealed mess while he is actually sitting in traffic 10 miles away. He claims he is optimistic about time. She claims he is delusional. She has started tracking his location on her phone, and if she sees his dot is still downtown, the oven doesn't even get turned on. 63. A husband complained his wife treats his phone like a communal appliance. She borrows it for 1 second to take a photo, check one thing, or use the flashlight, and hands it back an hour later at 12% battery with 27 new tabs open. He says he's not married, he's on a rotating custody schedule with his own electronics. 64. A husband filed a complaint that his wife weaponizes the phrase, "You can have a bite." She offers a tiny taste of her dessert like she's being generous. Then the second he takes one forkful, she stares like he stole state secrets. He says the bite comes with invisible terms and conditions, and he's now afraid to accept food without legal counsel present. 65. A wife filed a grievance about her husband's selective hearing, which borders on a medical miracle. He can't hear her asking him to take out the trash from 3 feet away, but he can hear a commentator whisper a football stat on the TV from the kitchen with the blender running. She tested this by whispering, "Do you want a beer?" while he was seemingly deaf to her chore requests. He responded immediately. She has concluded his ears are fine. It is his motivation that needs a hearing aid. 66. A husband complained that his wife says, "I don't care," the way a lawyer says, "Answer carefully." She insists he can choose anything, then reacts to his choice like he picked a restaurant inside a gas station bathroom. He calls it freedom. She calls it a test. They end up eating crackers at home like two prisoners of their own conversation. 67. One man is ready to divorce his wife over the way she squeezes the toothpaste tube. He is a roll-from-the-bottom civilized human being. She is a squeeze-the-middle like a chaotic monster type. He walks into the bathroom to find the tube mangled, twisted, and looking like it survived a car wreck. He spends every morning flattening it back out, trying to restore order to the universe. He actually bought 2 separate tubes of toothpaste just to save his sanity, but she started using his anyway because she couldn't find hers. 68. A wife complained that her husband is physically incapable of replacing the toilet paper roll. He will leave one single, useless sheet clinging to the cardboard tube rather than change it. When that is gone, he will balance a fresh roll on top of the empty holder, creating a precarious tower of laziness. She claims it takes literally 4 seconds to swap them out. He claims the spring-loaded holder is tricky, and he doesn't want to break it. It is a standoff that leaves everyone stranded. 69. The ultimate complaint that unites couples everywhere is the "we need to talk" notification. One husband said his wife will text, "We need to talk later," and then vanish into meetings for 6 hours. He spends the entire day replaying every sentence he has spoken since 2014, convinced he's about to be fired from his marriage. When she finally calls, it's just to ask if he can pick up milk. Psychological warfare, sponsored by dairy. Love is beautiful, but the dishwasher argument is forever. Now, I need a verdict in the comments. Is the French fry tax theft, or is it a marital right? Fight it out below. Hit like if you related to at least one of these and subscribe for more.